I do apologize for that. I don't know what just happened. Oh boy. What's up, Salon Diva? I don't know what just happened. I was out here talking, and next thing I know, the live just ended. So I'm sorry about that. Um, Let me see if I can read some of the chat. Anybody have any questions? What are you guys planting? What are you guys doing for your fall garden? I was just kind of walking you around, just showing you like my garden is basically transitioning. So I like to allow everything to just stop producing when it stops producing. I don't like really pulling anything out unless it's absolutely necessary and I have enough space to where I can kind of have that leisure to allow things to grow, do some inner planting, and allow those other plants to come up under them. Um, yeah, I don't know what happened. What's up, Nikki Walker? I was just out there walking, and all of a sudden the signal just stopped. I guess I'm getting a little cocky with my. I got a new Wi-Fi system out here, and I'm so used to now. I haven't used it since I, left out the country and came back. This is my first time going live since I came back. But the signal, I'm so impressed with the signal. I kind of stretch the limits maybe sometimes. So I really appreciate that. Made by Tammy Sherrill. What's up, baby sis? I'm just talking about what we're gonna be doing for the fall in our fall garden. I got some raised beds for you made by Tammy Sherrill, and we're gonna be bringing them down there to get you guys started on your garden. So I appreciate all the support that you've done. Yeah, I know Salon Diva. I don't like pulling my plants out either, especially when they're still producing. But I do stuff like, if you go down here, you'll see up under all of this, you got some dark opal basil, some more of our black pearl peppers, but then you also see some broccoli coming up under that. So I'm always mixing some things so that broccoli is going to benefit from this last month of September by having a little bit of this shade over here. So we basically create microclimates. You can see up under there, got another one up under there, and that's broccoli coming up. And like I say, I use the pepper plants all the way to the end of the season. When they stop producing is when I take them out, and the pepper plant acts as a microclimate or creates a microclimate for those broccoli that are coming up. So we're gonna be doing just a quite more of that. Same thing over here, and I just took out these here, and these are blue collards here. I want to see if they'll come back. But all of this down here are seeds from the blue collard. You can see all these little seedlings coming up. All of those are seedlings from the blue collards. And I tell you, like I tell everybody else, I got roly-polies all down here, and the roly-polies are not eating up my seedlings. You got to keep feeding them. It's like we've always talked about. You got to keep feeding those roly-polies. Over here, even with the string beans, we're gonna be putting our fava beans in up under this. And I got some other ones that are being inoculated right now. So our nasturtiums are still going. They'll do pretty well in the fall. So I'm gonna keep the nasturtiums in there and probably plant some Romanesco inside of that with the broccoli. Again, our eggplants are still giving off, so it's time to harvest those. And we got more flowers coming in, so we're gonna get some more eggplants throughout the season. Let's sit back over here, get out that sun so I can read some of the chats. All David Corey with the crops. What's up, my brother? Just sitting out here talking about some things we're gonna be doing in our fall garden. Just kind of walking everybody through. My live ended abruptly for some reason. I have no idea why. Maybe I don't even know if I touched anything because I got a selfie stick in my hand. Um, Despite what many people recommend, I'm following the advice to lightly fertilize newly planted blueberries. They're growing better than the ones without, much better. Um, Fertilizing your blueberries this time of year, that is what I do. Um, I've been told many a times that's probably not the best thing to do, but I got off of, let's say, one, two, three, four plants this year, over 70 pounds. 70 pounds of blueberries off of 4 plants this year. Um, and the average should be anywhere from 7 to 15 pounds per plant. And all of my plants outperform that. So this is what I do this time of year. And it's very important to do it this time of the year. We're in the first, we technically the first going into the second week of September. This is the time to fertilize your blueberry bushes. After this, that window is closed. You don't want to do it because you're going to start getting some new growth over in the middle of the winter, and that's something that you don't want because they're going to end up losing your berries for the next season. But I'll go over here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing you guys, because I'm going to be putting in I think 4 more blueberry bushes this year, and I was going to show you guys like a brand new, fertilization planting, but I'll show you my buds are already coming in on my blueberries already. And this is my early bloomer, and it's a Hello Darling. This bush put off 17 pounds this year. And this is a second year bush. Let me see if I can go over here. See if I can see the buds on it. See all that new growth? That's how I know it's time to fertilize my bush. I don't care how long you've been growing blueberries. I don't care what kind of advice you're gonna give me on blueberries. This is what I've been doing for the past 4 years. And each year my blueberry bushes do better than the year before. These are southern high bushes here. That's a Hello Darling. The maximum size on that is 4 to 6 feet. In 3 years, I'm already at my maximum height, 4 to 6 feet. That's probably about 5 feet if you take out the height of the raised bed that it's in. But this bush produced like crazy, and look at all the new growth that's coming out on it. That's where your berries are gonna be for next year. Let me see, saw some berry buds on this thing earlier today. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's where your berry buds are. See that right there? All those are blueberry buds. Now, the only negative to the Hello Darling being an early bloomer is that if we get a throwback frost, we probably lose all the berries off of this bush, or pretty much all of them. This bush here is my sweetheart, and she generally comes through every year. And you can see here where she's starting to put on her buds for next year. But the sweetheart is a mid-early bloomer. So she comes through every year, and so does the Northland. The Northland comes in right before the sweetheart, so they cross-pollinate with each other. So the way that I have them staggered here, they all cross-pollinate with each other. There's the mighty Marcello, man in the garden. This cat dog. And let's see what something else I wanted to show you guys. But yeah, let's go back over here out of this sunlight, because I think maybe the phone was getting heated up. I can see the chat when I'm over here. All right. This is one of my eggplants I just took off. It was waiting the bush down. Still solid. We make that eggplant lasagna, and then we'll stack them, maybe make 4 trays of it, freeze them, and we'll have them whenever we want. In the stores right now, those things are $20. I think $22 for the little pans. So eggplants, lasagna eggplants, that bush, that garden is all paying for itself. Even with the garlic, we're talking about these cell phones will catch a heat stroke out if you're outside too long. Yeah, that's right. Um, and I think that's what happened to the signal, because I was going pretty good. The signal is pretty good. I would imagine the signal is pretty good. How's the clarity of the live? Is the clarity of the live pretty good? Let's see here. Hey, Natasha. Um, let's see who else is in here. Let's see if I can get down to the bottom. Gardening is great. Okay, so the clarity is pretty good. And that's one of the things of what was bothering me about my lives. I like to move around a lot, and what I would like to have is a camera person out here with me. One of the hardest things for me is coming out here and just walking and just pointing the camera. I actually like to work and show my hands doing something, because just having the conversation, I don't think people really get the gist of what the garden is doing. Instead, I could be out here moving my hands around, but I don't have a camera person with me right now because everybody's at work, doing their thing. Or I think my son's off at the park riding his electric bike. So everybody's in their own little world now. And I have to borrow their time whenever I can get it. And for me, I like to have my videos edited pretty well, which means that I like to have a camera person out here with me. YouTube is changing. YouTube is definitely changing. I've seen a major shift in how subscribers are coming on to the channel now. This is about as slow as it has been since I've been doing YouTube, even from the beginning. But this thing is changing, man, with all of this AI, stuff that everybody's bringing on. And every other video you click on, somebody has an AI voice going with some made up images and all. And it's hard to now tell what's real from, the old stuff as opposed to original. It's changing. And one of the things that I say to everybody, man, we have to get to gardening, because there's a lot of stuff that's changing out here around us. And a lot of good, but it's going to be a lot of bad as well. Got to get to gardening. Yes, it is changing for the better or worse. The better or worse, I'm going to say information is going to be the one thing that you're going to be not lacking in. Information is going to be so readily available to where get fresh onion seeds. Oh yeah, I got my onions are always jumping around here. I never plant onions. I never plant onions. As somebody was asking about onion seeds. These walking onions, these hashiko Japanese onions here, I never plant onions. They come back every year. Look at that, the bees over here buzzing around. I never plant onions. Since the first year that I put onions in, I've never planted onions. They always come back. All these here hashiko onions, they come back. We eat them, we harvest off of them, and it's still. And then at the end of the season, let's see if I can find one of these, one of the heads for the onion seeds. They put off these big, beautiful, round heads of onions. Onion seeds, like I say, hashiko onions. I have them everywhere. I planted them the first year, 3 years ago. Hadn't had to put them anywhere. They come up everywhere. This bed has them more. This is where I grow most of my brassicas in the fall. So I have a whole lot of this here. Try to come out this sun. I'm trying to find one. Oh, carrots. Another one. These are carrots going to seed. It's a beautiful plant too when they go to seed. And if you look down here, you could already see carrots coming up. Let your garden take care of itself. You got to let those things go to seed. All of this here, let me show you how you do it. You just strip them off, throw them down, and then next year that's what you're gonna have. Then you take what you don't want over here and you move them to other places. And that's what all this stuff is. I move them to other places in the garden. Move them to other places in the garden. I never have to plant basil again. Never. Never have to plant basil again. Because I just take the seeds and just let them fall as they may. Never have to plant basil. Got basil everywhere. This dark opal basil. Again, just take it, sprinkle it around. You make what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do right now is make gardening simple. Going through my first few years of building the garden, and it's 6,400 square feet, what my garden is right now. This year and going into next year, I've been focusing a little more on the fruit trees. So I got plum trees now, a few fig trees, my black mission. I think I'm gonna pull up one of my brown turkeys because now that I've gone to France and my in-laws had these huge, I'm thinking black mission figs, that brown turkey just ain't gonna do it for me. That they just don't get big enough. I want some huge figs, and I think that black mission is the answer. I saw Led Farmer show some black missions on his channel last year, and they were the same size as my in-laws. And I had some on my bush in the back, and they're not as large. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go back here and show you. Okay, so I got the big thumb right here. My thumb, I think, hit the mic. So I think that may have turned it back on. Give me a thumbs up in there if the sound's back on. Okay, there you go. Yeah. When I uh when I hit the thing to turn the camera around, I think my thumb hit the mic. So hey, that's the beauty of going live, you know what I mean? Ain't nothing staged, can't go back and edit it. It is what it is. But like I said, just enjoying the day. My time is my time right now. Uh, hadn't been really able to get out in the garden and record like I want to, like I said, because everybody has been on their own schedule. A little frustrating at times, but hey, we're gonna make it do what it do. So we have our composting video, and I have a Vigo Garden composting system that I just got. That metal composting system that I have, it has 3 bays, 36. Actually, the entire bay is 90 inches long, so about 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, which is your bare minimum for doing your composting. So we're going to be setting the composting system up and doing our compost going into the last season. So I just cut the grass yesterday. That'll give me that new growth that's coming up without all the grass seeds in it. And then I could take that grass, and that's going to be part of our nitrogen going into our compost. We're going to be using some our amaranth we're going to be putting in it. We're going to be putting some of our Mexican sunflower in it. We're going to be doing some shredded cardboard as our browns or our carbons. We got leaves that's also going to be our carbons. But we're going to show you the simplest way to do composting. And if you're going to be doing this backyard gardening thing, composting is a must, because to get a decent bag of compost, you're talking, in my opinion, Black Cow. I like $6 here in Georgia, but I've been told Black Cow is somewhere from $12 to $18 in different areas. Fava beans, what do you need to know? David Corey is the man with the fava beans. Yeah, the fava beans, I have my fava beans being inoculated, and they're just coming up. So you can plant them straight out, but if you want to get the nodules on the roots, matter of fact, let me go out here and show you. See, a lot of people talk about nodules on the roots. Let me see if I can do this without putting my big fingers on the thing again. I'm gonna show you what we're talking about. Now, I don't know who does this live, but this is an Orient Wonder, and this is a bean plant. Orient Wonder bean. Some people call them the yard long. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pull this up, and I'm gonna show you what nodules on the roots look like. I'm gonna try to do it without ripping the roots all apart. Okay. This plant has just come up, so they hadn't attached to this yet. But usually it'll take about 2 months. Here it is. You can see a little bitty one growing in there. Yeah, you can see them. Let me see if I can go over here out the shade. I'm talking about nodules on the roots. Let's see here if I can get this thing to focus. You see those little bumps? And I can't. And this one just came up. I don't know if that's focused well enough. Let's see if I can put my hand behind it. You see the little bumps on there? You really see it on the end tip right there. You see on the end of this, right there on the end, there's a little knot on the end. That's what they call a nodule, and that's just starting to form. And it takes over, I think, 1 million bacteria to form those nodules. And this plant just came up, and that's another volunteer. So that's what we're talking about when we say nodules on the roots. And that limits the amount of fertilizer that you can put into your garden. So with my green beans, and you can see over there now, my green beans are still going. And there it is, This is the second round of green beans. I got some pink eye purple hull peas on the other side of the garden. They're still growing. My was it other lima beans over here? All of those are inoculated. All of those are inoculated with the leguminosum bacteria. So if you're looking for the bacteria to inoculate your beans with, the bacteria is actually called leguminosum. And True Leaf Market has that bacteria if you want to get that. And I'm telling you, it saves you so much time and effort. And then you just cut your plants off at the top, let it die off at the root, and those bacteria spread out and they become in the soil, and then other plants benefit from that nitrogen that's in those nodules. So that's one of the things that I love about sustainable gardening. All of this stuff that I've been practicing on for the past few years, and now I'm able to share it with you guys, and not just on a, standing next to a book or a pack of seeds telling you what it is and how it works. I can actually show you, the results of what these things do. And even with the mycelium that's in the raised beds, I can go to any of my garden beds and I can pull up mycelium. You know, let's see here. Go here to one of my. Try to do this without turning the mic off again. This is where I grow my garlic at. Now, you see how moist that is? See if I get down here where that bacteria is. Now, it wouldn't be when I'm trying to show you something. Let's see if we can go out here. Yeah, you see all that white? Let's see, go back up here. Go back up here in the shade. You see all that white on there right there? That's mycelium. See if I can focus back. That's mycelium, and that's what you want. That extends your root system, and that's all throughout this. You can see that on all of that white, that spider web looking stuff. Most of you guys, if you don't know, will probably be thinking it's like a mole or something like that, or a fungus. Well, actually it is a fungus, but the actual name of that is arbuscular. And that taps into the phosphorus that's in your soil, that allows your plant roots to tap into the phosphorus that's already in your soil. So a lot of the times you don't even have to add phosphorus into your soil. When you see those, mycelium is the actual network, but the fungus is called arbuscular. And that's something that you definitely want to have. And that's one of the reasons why I use the wood chips in all of my beds. And I'm going to be showing also how to culture that. It is so simple how to create that. You can do it off of coffee grounds. If you've ever had some coffee grounds that sat out for a while, and you'll start to see this white fungus start to grow off of it, that's the mycelium that you need. And you can take that, sterilize a pot, take a boiling water or something like that, take you some coffee grounds, cardboard, pour you some boiling water over your cardboard and your coffee grounds, put a pot on it, let it cool down to regular ambient temperature, and then add that bacteria or that fungus from that coffee grounds into that pot, mix it in real good, and that fungus will start to spread all throughout there. You'll literally have what they call a mycelium block. And that is the easiest way to make your own mycelium block. And you take that, mix it in with your compost after you've made your compost and you went through the thermophilic phase. You mix that back into your garden, that mycelium will start to go down and attach to all your roots. And that mycelium goes deeper in the soil than your roots go. And they attach to it and they send signals back and forth telling the plant what it needs out of the soil. And one of the things that the plant tends to pull up is your phosphorus. And that's why my peppers do so well. Because you look out there, and most people this time of the year, the pepper plants have kind of sputtered out. My eggplants and all that stuff, that's where your fruits are going to come from that phosphorus. But all of that comes from having those wood chips in my soil, and those wood chips actually tap into the mycelium, and that mycelium taps into the arbuscular fungus, and that fungus is what feeds those nutrients back to your plants. So you got bacteria and you got fungus. When you got fruit trees like that, you want a more fungal dominant soil. When you're in the garden, like where your fruits are and stuff like that, your vegetables, you want more of a bacterial fungal soil. So just learning those things, my peppers are thriving. I use mushroom compost. Yeah, Paige, that is right, mushroom compost. Mycelium, and when you think about the mushrooms, mushrooms are considered the flower of the mycelium. So that's the fruit of the mycelium. So if you use a mushroom compost, that is why the mushroom compost is effective, because it actually is the fruit of the mycelium, and they mix that back in. Mushrooms are good, definitely. Yep, definitely good. Mushrooms are good. And I'm going to be doing all of this going into actually prepping the fall, going into the spring, because these are things that I've been kind of, playing with over the past few years. And now I have it dialed in. And I'm not going to say I have it all mapped out perfect, but I do have a pretty good indicator of how to keep the garden going. And a lot of people ask me also, why do you have grass growing around your property as opposed to wood chipping everywhere? Well, your grass also, you see, I have grass everywhere around my property. There are no wood chip paths around my garden. When you put wood chip paths around it, when you put wood chip paths all around your garden, there's two things going to happen, but you're really wasting material, because where there's no roots in the soil, you're not going to get any life. The bacteria is not going to break down the wood chips as fast as they should, because the life is going to move where the food is. So having it in your garden bed is the best place for your mulch and things of that nature. So stuff that I'm going to be using for my mulch is the Love Lies Bleeding Amaranth. I'm going to be mulching that down at the end of the season, the actual stalks of the plant, and that goes back into the garden bed as living mulch. Same thing with our, our Mexican sunflowers. We're going to mulch that down. That goes back into the garden as mulch. What's up, G Bama? So all of these things is constantly feeding your soil, because if we're taking the fruit out, we got to be putting something back in. And that's one of the things that we definitely have to do in trying to get a regenerative style gardening. And it is so simple. It makes your job so much easier, to where you don't have to do as much weeding. I mean, you look at this bed right here. I just pulled my black beans out of here maybe a week or two ago. No weeds. Ain't no weeds in here. And then when you look down up under that, see that? Ain't no weeds in there. And it's time to mulch this all over again. What I've done is I've already inoculated this particular bed here, because what I'm going to be doing this time, making sure I don't hit that button again, turn the sound off. But what I'm doing this time, alfalfa pellets I'm growing my own alfalfa pellets, and alfalfa has something like a 3-2 NPK ratio, somewhere in that nature there. But I'm going to be growing a 10 by 10 plot of my own alfalfa, and alfalfa has in it a compound called tricontinol. And that tricontinol is a root stimulator. It actually benefits your seedlings and stuff like that. So we're going to be mixing that into our garden. And you can buy alfalfa pellets, organic alfalfa pellets from Tractor Supply. And Staley is the brand that I've been using, but I have organic alfalfa seeds that I'm going to be putting out. And we're going to be growing our own alfalfa. We already got our Mexican sunflower. We got our Bocking 14 comfrey. So I got the comfrey that doesn't self-seed. And those three things, between the amaranth, the Mexican sunflower, the comfrey, and whatever other plants I have, all of those are dynamic accumulators. And you can use those to go right back into the soil, as well as the fava plants. Excuse me, the fava beans. The fava beans puts off some up to 6 foot tall bean stalks, and huge leaves. You can take those fava beans, cut them down, and you can use them as your composting starters. So those are things that I've used, and I make me a nice little compost pile. And that's why Vigo was so kind to send me their new metal composting bins. So I'm going to be setting that up out here. And over the course of the fall, we're going to be doing some composting and having that stuff ready going into the spring. So let's see, your local food supply stores for alfalfa and others. That's right, Dave. You can go to your lot of, and like I said, for us, it's Ace Hardware has it. Tractor Supply is definitely the place where you can get the alfalfa. And it's, again, the organic alfalfa pellets. You don't want to get the regular alfalfa because some of that stuff's been treated with different just different medications for the horses or the livestock that eats it. A lot of you just want to, like I say, make sure that you get the organic alfalfa pellets. And if you're searching for it online, Staley is the brand that I use. I really want to start growing alfalfa comfrey around my property. I need to learn more about it. Comfrey, there's the Russian comfrey is what I have, and it's called a Bocking 14. So if you're looking for comfrey, Etsy is a good place that you can find it. Comfrey can be, as some people say, a nuisance. You know, it can really get away from it. The flowering comfrey, what I have is the comfrey that has to be done by splitting the roots. You can split the roots, or you can do it from cuttings. Bocking 14 is sterile. Russian comfrey, Bocking 14, absolutely. So that's something that you definitely want. G Mama's already up on that. And that's what I'm growing, the Bocking 14, which is the Russian comfrey, Bocking 14. So if you guys are looking for comfrey, that is the one that you want. Even with the Mexican sunflower. The Mexican sunflower is not a lazy man's garden tool. The Mexican sunflower is one of the best accumulators of nitrogen that you're gonna have in your garden. But if you're living in like the warmer states like Cali, Florida, some parts of Georgia down south, Mexican sunflower can be invasive. I was going to say invasive. Mexican sunflower can be evasive, so you have to be very careful on how you use it and keeping it from going to flower. The biggest thing is not allowing the flowers to take down. The Mexican sunflower is sterile as well. So a lot of myths out there about the Mexican sunflower and the seed spreading. I see people selling the seeds online. I'm not sure, how legitimate that is, because the grower that I got my Bocking 14, the grower that I got my Mexican sunflower from has his set up in grow stations all around, and they grow in clumps. And he has no problem with the Mexican sunflower spreading around his property. The way he propagates his, he splits the roots and he divides them up from the roots. And I went over to his property, and I was really convinced that this is something that I want to try. So I have a few in pots to make sure that I know what I'm doing before I do this, because I want to make sure that this thing does not get out of control. So I got 5 in pots of the Mexican sunflower, and I have 1 in the ground. The 1 in the ground is the test. So I'm just making sure that I can control it before I go all in with it. So let's see if we can get down to the chat. Let's see, Paige says she grew Mexican sunflowers for the flowers more than the nitrogen boosters. I think they're beautiful. I'm not in an area where they can be invasive. Yeah, that's one of the things about the Mexican sunflower, and that is Tithonia diversifolia is the one that you're looking for. Tithonia diversifolia is the botanical name for the Mexican sunflower that you're looking for. Tithonia diversifolia. All the other Mexican sunflower, there is another one, but that's not the Tithonia. Tithonia diversifolia is the name of it. And that is the one that's supposed to be. And again, this is my first year growing the Mexican sunflower. So that's the one that's supposed to be sterile. And we're going to find out. And I don't think mine's going to flower this year. I'm going to take the ones that's in the pot, take them back inside. The one that I have in the ground, I'm probably going to splice it up and put it in pots and see if I can continue to let them grow. Tithonia, okay, got it, thank you. Yeah, it's called Tithonia diversifolia is the name for the Mexican sunflower that you want. That is the one, and it has like a 6% nitrogen. The phosphorus isn't that well, but the phosphorus is something like a 1.5, and the potassium is a 4. So you got good nitrogen and good potassium in the Mexican sunflower. And the reason why you mix in your comfrey, which is the Bacin 14, because the Bacin 14 has better phosphorus in it than the other two. And then you can take the seeds from your amaranth, the Love Live Bleeding Amaranth. You can let the seeds dry out along with the flower pods, powder those up, and then that's a good 4% of phosphorus that you can be adding back into your garden. So that's what I'm trying to do going into the next year. Just try to be as much self-sufficient as we can, because if things continue to go like it's going right now, with the prices of things going up, jobs going away, we're going to have to learn to grow as much as we possibly can. I hate to be the Debbie Downer or talk about the negatives, because I'm always talking about the positives of what's going on. But you have to pay attention at what's going on around us. And if you have never decided that you wanted to grow a garden, now is the time to at least be prepared. Because what's that old saying, is better to be prepared, or better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I think we're going to be needing a lot of this stuff. So the fruit trees, that's part of the whole plan that I got. I got my citrus trees growing in. I got the brown select satsuma, which is a citrus that's growing in the ground, Georgia's own 8A. I got my Pansaris trifoliate, which is my rootstock. So I'm going to be able to propagate some of my citrus. I got the Buddha hand inside. The Buddha hand is really good for cleaning materials. You can get the zest out of it. Just one day at a time, man. We just out here trying to do this one day at a time. And I'm sitting up on my little porch right here on my little garden house, but this is what I'm looking at. And I do this all the time. This is my therapy. When I look out at the garden and I see everything going on out there. This is after the summer and all, and the garden's still doing well. Yeah. That's why I put the garden set up like this to where I can just look out. And that is what relaxes me every year, watching this happen. That's the best therapy you can have. And then I have my little buddy, cat dog, sitting over here. Cat dog over there hanging out with me. He's gone back in the bushes, probably hunting something. So, loving the rosemary over on the fence. Yeah, the rosemary, my rosemary flowered for the first time. I'm so proud of that. And two, just on a spiritual note, a lot of the things that I grow around the garden, it's like even with the Buddhas, some people ask me, well, you know, Buddhist? No, I'm not Buddhist. I just like the principles of what the Buddha represents. And that's why I have it in my garden everywhere. You know, just the peace, the tranquility, reflections, even with stuff like mentioning the rosemary, you know, a sign of remembrance, you know, dedication, loyalty. Those are the things that the rosemary plant represents. Even with the black-eyed peas or the pink-eyed purple-hull peas, you think about the history that comes behind the black-eyed peas and the resilience that it represents from the Western slave trade, when our ancestors put the okra seeds and the black-eyed peas in their hair and they brought it to the land knowing that this was going to be a source of survival when they needed it. So that's why I grow the black-eyed peas. That's why a lot of people celebrate on the New Year's black-eyed peas with the gumbo. The gumbo has the okra in it. The okra also represents those things where our African mothers came over and they had the seeds braided into their hairs, and they got here because they knew that these plants were going to grow wherever they go. And that's why I grow the okra. Even stuff like sweet potatoes, you know, we think about sweet potatoes. The history of the sweet potatoes is actually the yam, which are not the same as sweet potatoes, but in Africa they used to grow the yams. The yams used to grow big like pumpkins. When a lot of the Africans arrived over on the slave ships, they realized this root vegetable that we call now sweet potatoes, and they recognized it as something similar to the yam. So they started eating what was normally slop for the animals on the farms. And that's where the sweet potato came from. Even rice, you know, we associate rice with Orientals, but rice was actually something that they grew over in West Africa, brown rice, wild rice. And a lot of our African ancestors were brought over on the slave ships because they knew how to grow rice. So that's something that I want to learn how to grow. And all of these things have a historic nature in it because it teaches you how to survive. These are the things that have been proven over time that shows, like, whenever everything is bad and you're trying to figure it out, there's always something to eat when you know what to plant. And that's what I practice around my garden. I look for the things that are going to take the least amount of work to grow, but at the same time, the maximum yield. Things like black-eyed peas, the okra, the sweet potatoes, the store well, amaranth. Even with the trellis that I built on the other side of the garden, you know, it's called an obelisk. And I built it. It has you know, the pyramid, like a ladder type thing to it. But the obelisk, it was represented in the Egyptian monuments. You look at the monuments over in Egypt, how they have the little pyramid. They're actually called obelisk, and that's the reason why I have those shapes out here. So a lot of the stuff that I grow, a lot of the stuff that I build, a lot of the stuff that I put out in the garden has significance value to me as just a spiritual side of trying to stay on the right side of whatever it is that you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Something to always remind you, like the rosemary, always remind you of the things that are bigger than you. Even rosemary, uh, going back to the biblical days and the way the rosemary was said to have changed its colors, where the original flower of the rosemary bush was white. But when the Virgin Mary was escaping with the baby Jesus, they say she laid her cloak on the rosemary bush, and the bush, then the flowers turned from white to blue, the same color of her cloak. So there's a lot of significance in the plants, the history that makes them relevant in my life and the reason why I grow them. And part of why I grow, you know, it's a big part of why I grow. Love the blood live bleeding amaranths. I'm looking forward to seeing your harvest. Yeah, the love live bleeding amaranths. That's this is my first year growing them. I got them last year, but I didn't get a chance to plant them. But you can see them back there in the backdrop, and that's this whole bed here where I grow my garlic at, and that's where my love lies bleeding amaranth is. And I'm going to be putting garlic in the next day or so. So I'm going to do the garlic a little earlier this year than I did in the previous years. Usually I'll plant my garlic in November, but I think I'm going to do it around the end of September this year, and just to see what difference does it make in having the bulbs to really get solid into the soil before that cold comes in, and just seeing what happens different, just trying some different things. I just see my hummingbird just leave out. The hummingbirds love that butterfly pea flower. I mean, they come in and now they're migrating down south, so they'll come through, and because I grow the butterfly pea flower every year now, they find that butterfly pea flower, and I'll sit out here and just watch them go from one plant to the other. Um, but what are you guys growing for the fall? Let me know in the chat. Like, what are you guys growing for the fall, and is there any significance into the reason why you're growing it? Are you just growing it just for the food? Let me know. David Corey with the crops. I know you got some answers in there, brother. Let's see. Brassicas, garlic, onions. As David Corey says that. I learned so much from you and your voice and your videos. I greatly appreciate your knowledge and sharing it, and send prayers to you and your family and the happiness and blessings. Thank you. And I can't see the name of that. Cooper, I think the last name. I can't see the first name. The sun's kind of coming up and glaring my screen a little bit, but I appreciate that. Um, what types of garlic do you grow? For me, I grow elephant garlic. That's it. And I grow elephant garlic for profit. I sell the elephant garlic. So this, once again, is one of those things that we have to take into account to when we start investing all of this into the resources that go into growing our garlic, growing our gardens. What can we do to offset some of those expenses? Well, I found that I spent on, was it 56 cloves 4 years ago? That 56 cloves has turned into, and I think at last count, almost $6,000 in 3 years. $6,000 that's been made off of garlic. I got almost 80 pounds of garlic at $17 a pound. I mean, that's going to take care of anything if I want to invest in anything, adding fruit trees into the garden or anything, all of that pays for that. And that's what I'm trying to do. Even with growingoutthebox.com, you know, everybody's on here trying to see how many videos they can put out every week to see how much money they can make off every video. Well, growingoutthebox.com supplements some of the resources that I use to grow a lot of the stuff that I have. And with that, I'm able to give back. Like when we do these, like last year with Miss Linda, and we did the collards and cabbage contest, and I gave away uh, several of these Vigo garden planters right here. I still have probably 3 or 4 of these Vigo garden planters growing flaves and flower. I gave him one, Mike's Chaotic Gardening. He has one of those Vigo garden planters, the smaller herb version, because he does a lot of growing inside. I have a couple of raised beds from Vigo Garden that I'm going to be giving away. Um, there's so much that I want to do, and it's hard to do because it's just me. And I don't think on the scale of oneness, you know what I mean? I'm always looking for a team to put things together, because you can always do more when you have more than one person. Even like doing the videos, I don't do videos as often because I like to have a camera person out here with me. And of late, everybody's on their own schedule, so I haven't been able to do the type of videos that I want. And rather than just giving you anything, I'd rather just hold off and wait to give you the best of me that I can possibly give. And that's what you've come to, I mean, that's what you've come to expect. You know, if I do just a regular video of just walking around the garden, don't get many views. But if I do a video showing you some things and explaining why I do these things, those are the videos that do extremely well. So I don't waste my time with doing the look at me videos, even like doing the lives. I don't know, like I said, because I haven't done a video in a while, I said, let me go out here and pop up and do a live. I like doing them out here in the garden. You know, this is where my spirit is. This is where, you know, my serotonin rushes to my brain when I sit out here and I can watch everything. Even with the 2 weeks that we were gone, the 2.5 weeks that we were gone into Europe, coming back and seeing how well the garden held up, you know, that to me, that's a blessing, because that says that something we're doing is right out here. And not to say that we have all the answers, because we absolutely don't. But the more we experiment, the more we trust in what we've done before and add and build on to that, the better things are going to get. Yeah, my blueberry. I'm going to tell you, I was a little pissed off at my wife today, right? G Mama, I'm going to just say this. I got my I got my garlic, my garlic shirt I had made, right? Goes with my growing out the box hat and all that. Orange, got the garlic, got me on it holding the garlic. Well, my wife has put it up somewhere and I can't find it. I was going, that's why I was late coming into the first live, because I was determined to have that shirt on. I'm a real big fan of representing your own product. You know what I mean? You don't see me do a whole lot. Now, I do shout out Vigo Garden, because Vigo Garden has been very consistent with supporting the channel over the past few years. Um, a lot of the stuff that I have, the manicured stuff that I have out in the garden, has been supported by Vigo Garden. They send me, I got their seed starting trays. They're, I mean, absolutely beautiful seed starting trays by Vigo Garden. They have the air pruning vents on the side of them, so kind of matches up to what I was doing with my seed cups that I do. So they have the air pruning. Again, the composting bins that they just sent me. So I really appreciate that. But for the most part, I don't do the affiliates. I don't do the affiliate marketing, because I think my brand in the long run is going to be worth more than what I can make off of a 3 to 7% margin off of selling $2,000 to $3,000 worth of product. You know, for me, that's not really what I'm doing this for. So if I'm going to do anything, I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to bet on me. That's what I do. I bet on me. When I came into this gardening scene, everybody was like, and I even got the t-shirts coming, the growing out the box, you be doing too much. All of that is when you betting on yourself. That's what I do. I bet on myself. So when everybody says, you know, you don't have to do all of that, You could just do this here and the plants will grow. Well, yeah, you could probably just drop a seed in the ground and you're probably going to, get your plants to grow. But by me taking the time and learning why I'm dropping the seed, what the seed is going to do, what bacteria, what fungi best benefits this particular seed, what to look for in the growth habits of the plant, the seeds then come back around in cycles. All of those things were shown in appreciation by the broad gardening groups. And from that, we went from 500 subscribers in 2 years. Well, I think we were 1,200 subscribers in 2023. We're right now at 227,000 subscribers here on YouTube, 380,000 followers on Facebook, 382,000 followers on Instagram, 75,000 followers on TikTok. That's because I be doing too much. That's because I be doing too much. And if you've learned anything from me, because a lot of people like they learn so much from me, but if you've learned anything from me, the way to win is betting on yourself and doing too much. That's going the extra mile, doing just a little bit more than everybody else. That's how you win. That's how I navigated through life. 17-year-old kid, move up to Atlanta, just with the hopes and dreams of being a part of the music industry. I've worked with every big name artist that's come out of Atlanta through the course of my lifespan. I'm approaching 60 years old right now. All because I bet on me and a support system behind me. My mom, my sisters, my brother. My brother's still out there. Chico, he's still out there, on the road doing his things with the music industry. I choose not to do that anymore. I love doing this. I got a regular 9 to 5, just like everybody else. Actually, I got a 12 to 12. I work 12-hour shifts. I'm off 2 days, work 2 days, off 3 days, work 3 days. So this is something that you have to want to do. You know what I mean? Everybody say they don't have enough time in the day. You can make time. You know what I mean? If this is something that you want to do, you got to make time for it, prioritize, and the blessings come back when you put out your good stuff, when you put your best self forward, put your best self forward, it always comes back. It always comes back. You don't have to be doing it for the money, but somehow it'll always take care of you. And that's that little thing I like to use. A lot of times you'll hear me say 23:5, my cup runneth over. And that is when you're fulfilled to the point to where you share everything that you have, even if it's the last $5 in your pocket. If I feel like somebody needs it, I'm willing to share that last $5 because somehow, some way, shape, or form, God is going to show me how to put that $5 plus back. And that is the example of this whole growing out the box journey and just doing too much. Sharing everything that I learned, because it's not like I went to school for this. It's not like somebody came over and taught me all of this stuff. This stuff is learned because I want to be better than I was the day before. Every day I come out here to the garden, I want to be better than the day I was before. So every time I have a question, or when you guys have a question, that's our symbiotic relationship. You guys ask me questions, and if I don't know the answer, I'm going to go search for it. That's adding to my, palette. That's adding to the things that I know now. Thanks to you guys, because you asked the questions. So it's, again, that symbiotic relationship. These are things that I learned just over the course of life. And then when I start the garden, it all starts to make sense. That old saying that we have, you get out of life what you put into it. That's how your garden works. You're going to get out of your garden what you put into it. If you're constantly putting seeds out and you're constantly taking the fruit, but you're not putting any inputs back in, you're not going to have a successful garden. All of this is the result of putting back in more than what I take out. And that's what I do to people. I put in the people more than what I take out. Because, hey, that's where mine comes from. The blessings always come back around. 23:5. 23:5. My cup runneth over. So I'm going to read some of the chat down here. Mildred Page. I'm just starting to do that. What is it you're just starting to do, Mildred? Put things back into your garden? Do you prefer the starter plants or seedlings? Let me see who says that. RLP asks, do I prefer starter plants or seedlings? For me, I do both. And when I say starter plants, I start my seeds inside or in a different location and I bring them out. Now, part of the reason why I do that is because I allow things like the roly-poly to roam free in my garden. The roly-poly is one of your best composters. But again, if you're not feeding that roly-poly, the roly-poly is going to go get your food. That's just how it is. So rather than me battle with a lot of the insects, I like to grow my seedlings in different places and then bring my seedlings out to the garden and transplant them. But as a new gardener, there's nothing wrong with going up to the big box store, spending that little extra money. Yeah, it's going to cost you a little extra money to get the experience. That's the greatest thing that you're going to get out of going to the big box store and buying the seedling is the experience of learning how to grow the plant. And once you learn how to grow the plant, then you can start experimenting with the seeds. But if you start off with the seeds in the beginning, that can be very frustrating. And that's going to be one of the things that make you not want to go out to the garden. It's not going to be enjoyable. But there's nothing like looking off into your garden and seeing the fruit. You know, there's nothing like, look at the butterflies. You see what I'm saying? The butterflies, the bees, all out here. The bees. See this? That's what it's all about. When you come out here and you learn the different plants like the nasturtiums and what they do for your garden. They attract the insects that you don't want on your other plants. And then it's also food. You can eat these, the flowers, the plant and all. So it's doing multiple things in the garden. Again, butterflies everywhere. This is what adds to when I come out here to the garden. And then you got that fruity smell of the dark opal basil goes throughout the garden. There's no way that you can walk out here and not see life happening. Just everywhere. Yarrow. Yarrow attracts ladybugs. And also, if you got a toothache, you can wad that up, pack it into your tooth, and it helps relieve your toothache. Yarrow. Yarrow also, if you get a cut out here in the garden, which I often do, you could pack that yarrow onto a cut and it helps stop the bleeding. Yarrow. Butterfly pea flower. This helps you relax. Helps you bring your blood pressure down. There's a lot of things that you can do. And then you have the seed pods that come in. See the seed pods coming in, the beans? I can share those. So it's just so much life going around the garden. And we talk about tomatoes, knowing what tomatoes to grow what time of the year. These are my cherry tomatoes. These are sweeties, actually. Still going. Look at this. They still going. Why? Because I'm not trying to grow any beefsteak potatoes, any beefsteak tomatoes this time of the year. Knowing what plants grow well in your garden and consistently growing those plants. You see down here, that's what I do. And next year, I don't have to plant any tomatoes. I don't let the leaves drop down, but that's what I do. I don't have to plant. These plants are volunteers. They're volunteers. Look how healthy they are. Same thing over here. Sweeties, look like little marbles. Like little marbles. Sweeties. They grow themselves. You see down here? These are onions that were left in from last year. They're not done. Onions will split. Not a lot of people know that. The onions will split, just like your garlic will. And you can take those and then replant them in different places. And now you maximizing your onions. You can take these and use these as green onions to cook with. Never have to plant them again. Never have to plant them again. You see how that's coming out the side of that onion ball? I can split that. It's just so much. It's just so much that we can learn just by allowing this, going out here. Sweet potato leaves. You can eat the leaves. It's like a spinach. Take the plant inside, take you a few cuttings inside, and you can grow it as a plant all winter long inside. It'll grow just as a house plant. Then come spring, fall of next year, you already got your sweet potato slips ready to go. Right here, this is an all-in-one olive tree. You can get this on growingoutthebox.com. Why am I growing olives? Because I can make my own milk. Olive milk. Not olive, I'm sorry. Almond. I'm sorry, I didn't say olive. I got my olive tree over there. These are almonds. This is an almond tree. It's an all-in-one almond. So I'll be able to make almond milk. Just thinking down the road, even with the marigolds coming out here, the bees, they're doing their thing with the marigolds. Then you come around here, you got your echinacea flowers. That's the seeds. They're done for the year, but that's what you do. You just reseed. Just go over there and knock them down. Echinacea. Echinacea is one of the best herbs that you can grow. Rosemary. It's my baby here. I'm in love with rosemary. Man, this thing smells so good. You come out in the morning, you rub your hands on this, and then you rub this on your body. Will it stop mosquitoes 100%? No. But it definitely makes a difference than you coming out here without this on you. I rub this on me every time I come out. So not only do you have the smell that you're dealing with, the aroma, the mosquito protectant that you have in it, but the serotonin that's released in your brain when you smell rosemary. Rosemary actually adds to the cognizance of your memory, helps you remember. So it's a lot of things that's going on out here in the garden that there are a lot of things that go on out in the garden that's way bigger than just what you see with the eyes. And that's what keeps me motivated to coming out here and doing that. Let me see what they say. Rosemary hates to be watered. Yes, rosemary hates to be watered. That's why my rosemary is in that rock bed over there all by herself. The rock bed keeps it hot. It's a Mediterranean plant. Dew of the sea is what they called it at once upon a time. But this is sandy soil up under here. If you go up under here, this is sandy soil. See that? That's sandy. See how dry that is? Just understanding your plants and knowing what to give them. That's why they're over here by themselves. And look how beautiful they're doing. This is the first year they're bloomed. It's my first time seeing the blooms on the rosemary. Blue. Mary's cloak. You look that up. That's a biblical, when you start thinking about the Bible and stuff like that. And again, we're talking about Mary's cloak. How the Virgin Mary, when she was escaping with baby Jesus, and she laid her cloak on the rosemary bush, and the flowers turned from white to blue. That's, that's part of why I do this, man. When I come out here, all of those things, and like I said, that rosemary bush, when I take it and rub it on myself, because I've been out here all day. You ain't seen me popping from no mosquitoes and all, and mosquitoes are definitely terrible around here. But I rub that rosemary on me every day I come out. It soothes the skin, gives you like a little nice little sheen onto your skin. But then the aroma, it just starts, it makes you feel better. Just even like even touching it right then. It does something to the senses. And this is not just a placebo thing. This is actually scientific, evidence that the smell of the rosemary plant actually stimulates the serotonins in your brain. This is a happy thing. It helps you remember, stimulates your memory. So Alzheimer's, it's good to burn that as a incense in there. I got like candles in the house to where I have them up under a heat lamp, and I mix in the rosemary under the heat lamp, and you smell rosemary when you walk into the house. Those are just some of the things that I do, you know what I mean, just to make my life a little simpler and make it all make sense. Rosemary tea, absolutely. Rosemary tea will knock you out. Don't ask me how I know. Rosemary tea will knock you out. And it just helps relax you. The calming sense, yep, helps with the stress and anxiety. Rosemary tea will relax you. You have a very good night's sleep. I'll tell you something else that a lot of people might not know. That dark opal basil, that has a tea. Oh man, you put two leaves into a cup of hot water, let it steep for about 10 minutes. That dark opal basil, man, has a nice fruity taste to it, but it will knock you out. It will knock you out. That aroma, the taste, it's all good. Oh, not to, how I did not know this gonna make sense for the tea for sure. Yeah, that rosemary is a powerful herb. It's a powerful herb. It's just not for something to look at. Rosemary, and you can look it up. Like I said, I actually was going to do a whole video on the rosemary plant and why my rosemary plant looks so well. I fertilize my rosemary plant once a year, and I just did it 3 weeks ago. Actually, when we first got back off of vacation, I give my rosemary 2 tablespoons of spent coffee grounds and 1 tablespoon of powdered eggshells. She loves it. That's all I give her. And you see that for itself. That bush is going on. This is the 3rd year that I've had it. So this is the first time that it's flowered. So that's telling me right there, whatever it is that I'm doing it right. And that's that thing where somebody would say, well, growing out the box, you're doing too much. And had I shown this beforehand and showed me fertilizing it, you're going to get a lot of people say, just don't bother the rosemary bush. They don't like to be bothered. They don't like to be bothered, but you still have to feed them. You still have to feed them. They don't require a lot. Don't put any nitrogen on her because she does not like nitrogen. Yep, she does not like nitrogen. So a little coffee grounds, that's all you need, because that's going to be probably a 1.5 if you can come up with an NPK for it, or 1.5 on the nitrogen. The eggshell is going to be the little calcium that you need. That's all I give to my rosemary bush, and she's loving it over there. And I even had some when I went on vacation, all my lavender kind of ducked out on me, but you can see one of them still living here. But you propagate them the same way you do your rosemary. This is lavender. I could take these and use that. But while we're on vacation, they dried out. But I ain't worried about that. There's plenty more where that comes from. But you would propagate your rosemary the same way. Let me see if I can read some of the chat down here. I'm glad I came here. I've been trying to grow rosemary, been successful with parsley and basil, but I've been treating my rosemary like my other herbs and always died out. Yep, that is the one thing that I'm going to tell you about your rosemary. She does not like attention. I call her the what do you call it? Like the mean old lady that just don't like to be bothered. She's over there all by herself. She don't bother anybody. She don't want you to give her a whole lot of attention. I might water it, like with Georgia's own 8A. We've gone almost a month now without rain, and I may have watered it one or two times, and it's just a quick spurt in there and get it out. She does not like wet feet. So yeah, rosemary, she's very easy to take care of once you learn what she likes. She likes lots of sunshine. She's a Mediterranean plant, so you have to take into account what it is that they're lots of sandy soil. All that whole area there is sand. So when I did the eggshell rocks over there, I spread out some sand on top of it and rub, push the rocks back right around the drip line. Put your 2 tablespoons of coffee grounds and 1 tablespoon of powdered eggshells. So that's another thing for people who are asking, what do I do with the powdered eggshells? That's one of the reasons why I use the powdered eggshells. I use it on stuff like my rosemary. Um, the pH on it is somewhere around neutral. Most of the garden plants that we're going to be growing are going to be anywhere from a 6.2 to a 6.7. So the rosemary does not really like to be in that area. So if you're planting your rosemary in your regular garden beds, she's not going to like it. Too much fertility in there. She likes it rough. I mean, that's just as simple as you could put it. Rosemary likes it rough. Let's see here. Let's see if we can read down to the chat. I watched your vid where you powdered the garlic. Oh, you powdered and ground the eggshells. Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of what I did when I was doing the powdered in the eggshells. You can do so many different things with the powdered eggshells. Um, if your pH is low in your soil, you can use powdered eggshells to bring your pH up. It has a liming effect. Matter of fact, it has a better liming effect than actual dolomitic lime. So that's one way you can use eggshells in your garden. You have to be uh, you have to be mindful that because eggshells are alkaline, that you want to be careful on where you put it at, because if you put too much of the powdered eggshells in, it will raise your pH and throw your nutrient uptake off, cause some nutrients in your soil not to be uptaken. So don't just sparingly throw it out there into the garden. Just be strategic, know which plants need it, know which plants don't need it, and move accordingly. Let's see if I can read something else. How do you make the sweet potatoes a house plant? Let's see who said that. Sonia Pollard, I think. I can't see the name because the name is kind of shadowed out. I think that Sonia Pollard asked, how do you make your sweet potatoes a house plant? Just take a cutting off of it, the same way you would do your slips. Go over, clip it off, stick it into some soil. You see, right there is a sweet potato plant right here. And this goes back to what I was trying to tell everybody. Your sweet potato will not grow more sweet potatoes. If this does not touch the soil, if somewhere this slip does not touch soil, you will not get sweet potatoes. I don't care how you put it. This slip has to touch soil. And this has been sitting over here in this pot. This is where I got my slips from to grow those vines back there. So basically you just come over, clip that off, put it in some potting soil, let it take root, and then take it inside. Treat it just like a house plant. And then the same way you cut that, took it inside, you're gonna do the same thing when you take it back outside to grow your sweet potatoes the next year. So you never have to buy slips. You always have slips on hand. So it's just so many different ways that we can make gardening so much simpler. And for me, all of this was a trial and error thing. And that was one of those things to where when I started taking my slips inside and growing it, it was growing out the box, you're doing too much. Yeah, okay. And then when the plant starts to drape over, gets a little out of hands, you go in and you clip the tips off of it, throw it in a pot. You can saute it and use it just like spinach. So you growing food inside during the wintertime where you normally would have just had nothing. Okay, let's see. See if I can read. How often should I water lavender? Lavender is pretty much, I treat my lavender the same way as the rosemary, but lavender likes a little less pH. You can get away with a little more watering. I would say probably twice as much. So if you're going to do it maybe once a week with the lavender, lavender is treated slightly different than the rosemary, but they root pretty much the same. I take the cuttings off and it's so simple to root. You go over, basically just cut the top portion of it. In fact, I'll go over and show you that. You see how tall these, this is the lavender right here, right? These are normally about this size when I take the cuttings. So you're basically taking the tips off and just drop them in some good compost or anything like that and put them in. So right here, if I were pruning this, you see where these shoots are right here? That's where I would prune this at. And I would take this top piece out. And that's where I would get my cutting from. And this is going to make that branch out and it'll just thick. You see right here? You see how those branches, you got 6 or 7 branches there. And if you were pruning this, you want to take off a third. So you're looking at the whole thing. So you want to take off about this much. And then you take that, you start your new plant, and what you don't use for your new plant, you take it inside and you use it as your spices. A third. You see how tall that is? This is about 24 inches. You take off a third if you're pruning it. And that's what makes it do this, bush out. You see all those extra branches on there? That's what makes it do that. When you take that top off, you top it off, and it's going to bush out. You see here? All that. That's what makes it bush out. So next year, this thing is going to be super thick. Yep. So I would cut it right here, and that'll make it bush out. Same thing here. Take a third off. The key is a third. All right, let's get back down to the chat. Yep, pruning promotes new patterns. That's right. Do you grow hibiscus? How do you use the flowers? I do not grow hibiscus. David Corey with the crops, he's in the chat, and David Corey and G Mama, I believe, grows hibiscus. I do not. One of the things that I do not want you guys to get the idea that I know all of these plants, because I don't know all of these plants. What I know are the plants that I grow. And I'm pretty consistent on what I grow year after year, because what grows well in my garden this year, I'm going to bring it back the following year. What does not grow well in my garden this year will not come back next year. It's just that simple. So it's not that I garden better than everybody else. It's just I pick and choose the things that want to grow in my garden. It's just that simple. I pick and choose what grows in my garden. If the plant doesn't do well in my garden the year before, I may try it again, may try some different ways of growing it, like the rosemary, for example. I tried growing rosemary in pots, died. Every one of them died. I put her over here in her own little spot by herself, hadn't done anything since. I had 5 rosemary plants. 3 of them were in pots. The 2 that I put in the ground over there live. So that's the rosemary that I know. So now I know for sure how to grow rosemary. When I put them in pots, they just don't do well. That's just the whole thing. Same thing with the Hashiko onions. People plant onions every year. I haven't planted onions in 3 years because I keep splitting the things, taking the onion balls and just sprinkling the seeds all throughout. No need to plant every year the same thing. And what's going to happen is those seeds that you're planting from the plants that you grew are going to be better acclimated to your garden. So they're going to grow even better the following year. That's the reason why my tomatoes are growing well. Those tomatoes self-seed themselves. I don't have to do anything. Now, what I'll do is in the springtime, I'll go in and I'll take out the ones that I don't want there because I don't want any more than 2 plants in that particular planter. Then I'll give away the rest of the plants. Give them away or move them to a different area in the garden. The same thing with the queens of the night over there on the other side of the garden. That came up on its own. I didn't plant it there. Came up on its own. I moved it to the center, but it came up on its own. The same thing with all the basil. Basil comes up on its own. All the pepper plants that you see out here came up on their own. I just move them around the garden. Once they come up, I move them around. If you go back to my early spring garden, you'll see in the one bed where it had probably the whole blanket, looks like microgreens down it. It's all peppers. I don't know which ones are which. I just take them as they start to grow up and start to show their different leaf patterns. And once they start showing the different leaf patterns, I just move them to different areas of the garden. This particular year, the Hungarian wax peppers, well, most of y'all call them banana peppers, they grew prolific last year in my garden. So guess what I have more of this year? More banana peppers or Hungarian wax peppers. Mike's Chaotic Gardening sent me the fish peppers. Fish peppers came up on his own. I took a couple of the peppers at the end of the season, washed them out with the water hose, washed the seeds into the soil. They came up. Got fish peppers this year. Didn't have to plant them. The brown paprikas, didn't have to plant them. The eggplants, didn't have to plant them. They came up on their own. And the crazy part about the eggplants was I was having the time of my life getting them to grow inside because my heat mat wasn't getting up to temperature. But then I came out and planted them outside, took right away. So that just goes to show you we can do some things, push the envelope and trying to do it our way, but at the same time, Mother Nature knows best. She's going to take it and do what she wants to do with it. Can I safely dig up a whole herb plant and move it and transplant it? Yes, you absolutely can. As a matter of fact, I just took a whole dark opal basil plant and moved it over to where my let me show you. I took a dark opal basil plant from this garden bed, and this has been like 3 days ago. You see all that dark opal basil here? That's what keeps those insects away. And you can smell it out here, how big those plants are. And then at the end of the season, like I told you, you just go down, grab it, and then you drop the seeds. You ain't never have to plant basil again. This is the basil plant that I just put in a few days ago. She's got a few little wilts on there because we're in the middle of the day, the sun's going. But the reason why I moved it over here is because we have our purple top turnips coming up. So I want to block some of that. I want that scent of that dark opal basil to dominate this area to keep the insects away from it. And you see how beautiful these seedlings are? That's all I'm doing. Same thing if I come over here. This is bok choy. Look at all that bok choy. Dark opal basil. This is one of my main things here, dark opal basil. And then you come up here, you see them babies again. That's the black cherries. It's black cherry tomatoes. They're still going. I'm not trying to grow no big beefsteak tomatoes this time of the year. Everything this time of the year gonna be small tomatoes. But again, bok choy, all that. So we can make egg rolls with that. That's already up. These are fall. And then you see this over here? I didn't plant that. That came up on its own. These are collards. So I'm gonna move one of those because they're too close together. I don't have to plant that this year. That's what we're doing. So yeah, that's pretty much how I grow out here in the garden. I let all of this stuff do its own thing. Yep. But we're gonna wind it down. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Let's see, we're gonna read a couple more of the chats. See Nikki in here. OCD is chick. What's up, Nikki? Like I said, all these colors and the names I can't really see, but I can read some of the chat. But yeah. Let's see here. Yes. Typically of the evening, cloudy days, do it in direct sun. Yep, do it in the late evenings. Late evenings, when you dig your hole to do that transplant your herbs, just soak it in real good. Let me show you this thing here. This thing is going crazy. Look at the bees on this. Now this plant is poisonous, but it has honey nectar in it. I'm gonna see if you can see the bees. They're just going crazy on it. Bees, the wasp. Look at this. They are going absolutely crazy on it. And this is called a snake root. You do not want to bother this thing. This is super toxic. But the nectar in it, they love it. Look at all the bees. The wasp. They love it. So, and the moral of that story is, even the things that are toxic to us, Mother Nature finds a way to use it. Because those bees absolutely love it. Of all the stuff, even with the dark opal basil, you'll see them on that. But since that thing started blooming, they've been on that thing all day long. That's why I left it there. And I know it's poisonous. It's called a snake root plant. Livestock, matter of fact, it was said that George Washington's mother ate something that had snake root mixed in it, and that was how she ended up dying. So that's how toxic that plant is. Not something that I want to fool with. Even if I wanted to touch it, I don't even know if you can touch it. But I just left it in there because the bees absolutely love it. So that's one of nature's, things that, you know, cats, dogs, livestock, you don't want them to have no part of that. That's called the snake root plant. And I'll pull it up, and then when I pull it up, I'll show the roots on it. But the bees are absolutely going crazy on it. Um, so let's see what else we got here. Anybody got any questions for me before I get up out of here? Because I know I've been on this thing for a minute. But like I say, I'm just enjoying the day off from work. Got to go to work. I work this weekend, so I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I figure, hey, I might as well go ahead and do a little live since I'm not able to do a video. Everybody's at work today or going off doing their own little thing. So I'm here by my own little lonesome, be in the garden. So I was packing up some of the garlic. I said, let me go live and just let you know. Oh yeah, the garlic is live on growingoutthebox.com. So we got more than we have in previous years. So um, I think I'm going to be doing 500 cloves this year. So last year we did 200 cloves plus our corms and our rounds, and we came out with almost 110 pounds of garlic. So again, $17 a piece at 110 pounds. That's a pretty good little profit, from one thing. And then Tractor Supply does their little farmers market type little thing on the 13th. I'm not able to go this weekend, but that would have been an ideal place for me to take the garlic out there. And I probably could have sold every last one of them right there at Tractor Supply. Um, they do that on the 13th of September every year, do their little thing. So I'm gonna get down to the bottom of the chat. Oh wow, heading over there to, yeah, the garlic is available now. I put it up the other day, and I was waiting for my boxes to come in, and the boxes were delayed. So I said I was going to put it up Monday, the garlic, the elephant garlic. But my boxes came in because I normally make my own boxes. I take the little scrap cardboard and make my own boxes. But 110 bundles that I put together, and I still got some garlic that needs to be separated, but 110 bundles that I put together so far. So I went ahead and ordered custom boxes to go to fit those. So they're like a 7x5x5. Then maybe have to put two boxes together in order if somebody bought two loaves, but they're a pound, and each pound, let's see if we go over here and just show you that before we get out of here. Some of our garlic here. And there's some of the ones that I haven't even still got. But this is a blessing at the same time, because when you have so much to where you can't get caught up, all of this. But this is what the packs look like. And that's per pound. Each one of them come in a little pack per pound. And this I think is, I think it's 20 pounds in this. This is what I did this morning. And I started doing this, and I was like, I gotta, oh yeah, this is what I was talking about. When you're looking at the hashiko onions, those garlic heads, those were those seeds at right there. That's not where I get my seeds from for the garlic though. Because if you come down here, this is the seeds, the corms. That was the secret. That little thing where you be talking about growing out the box, you be doing too much. That is the secret to how I went from 56 cloves to well over 500 in 2.5 years. This right here. That turned into a round, and then the round turns into that in the third year. So it takes 1 year for this, 2 years for the round, and then 3 years you come to your 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 bulbs. And in 3 years, let me see if I can get back this thing here. Yeah, in 3 years, I've man, this thing could be very profitable. And I still got a half an acre in the back of my garden area. My garden area is 6,400 square feet, and I still got a half an acre in the back. My goal is, and if God be willing, I'll be able to retire in the next year. You know, if things go according to the plan, um, I think I'm going to line that at least the majority of that half an acre in the back with elephant garlic, because if it goes well this year, then there's no question about it that that's a supplemental income that I could have every year in growing that elephant garlic. And some things too that I learned, and I wish I'd have knew this earlier this year, fermented plant juice. With all the plums, I threw away probably 50, 50 to 100 plums because I had insects in my plums this year. Ooh, yeah. I had insects in my plums this year, but had I known what I know now, I could have used those plums and made fermented plant juice, which is an excellent source of phosphorus that goes into the micronutrients that we can feed our plants back. So I ended up throwing all those plums away when all I had to do was mix those plums 50% with brown sugar and let it ferment for about 2 weeks, and I could have used that as fertilizer in the garden. So we're living and learning. You know what I mean? As I learn these things, I share it. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to cuff it so I can make the next best YouTube video. When I learn this information, I share it. And I want you guys to go out and try it. And only thing I say is you share it with somebody else. Just give somebody else the tools to be able to do what it is that you do and make their job or their journey a little easier. But yeah, the fruit that you have falling in your yards, and I see so many of these gardeners around here with fruits, pears, plums, all laying around on the guard on their yard, and they just toss them out. Take those fruit, pears, whatever it is you have, throw them in a 5-gallon bucket, equal parts brown sugar, equal parts to whatever it is that you're putting in there. That turns into it has almost like a wine smell to it after the end of the day. Same thing with how we doing the super juice. I'm not doing the super juice like that anymore. That smell that you have, you can use the fermented plant juice, and you have the best fertilizer for your flowering plants that you could possibly think of. So taking, let's say, all of your yard scraps, grind it up real good. I would take more like the leafy green stuff, uh, grind it up real good, and then equal parts of brown sugar with that. Let that ferment. That ferment is some of the best fertilizer that you would absolutely have, and it does not have that smell like the super juice. Super powerful, super powerful. That's something that I was experimenting with this year. It definitely works. That's why these flowers are still blooming. That's why the fruits are still coming on. That's not because I've been putting any external fertilizers on this. This is stuff that we're recycling, regenerating right here in our garden. And so much of this stuff that's been hidden from us. And we can do it. We're just sharing the information. Let's see here. Question. Single from Indiana. Can you send me some of your regional variety of marigold? Is that what this is? Mango. I will be very thankful. I don't grow mango. I don't have any mango. I couldn't grow mango here anyway. I'm in Georgia zone 8A. Yeah, I don't grow mango. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't grow mango here. Um, Mango would be for me a potted plant. I don't do well with potted plants. That's why you don't see a whole lot of potted plants around the garden. I just don't do well with potted plants because, like I was saying earlier, I rely on the bacteria and the fungi in the soil to do a lot of the work for me. And I tend to feed the soil more than I feed the plants. And if you have stuff that's in a pot, it's hard to grow the bacteria and the fungi in those pots because a lot of times, like even with the citrus, for example, um, people use that 5-1-1 mix, which is 5 parts of mini pine bark nuggets, 1 part perlite, and 1 part peat moss, or however you want to do it. That's what they call a soilless mix. You cannot use organic fertilizers in a soilless mix. It just doesn't work. So that's what I've been experimenting with for the year, a little over a year and some change that I've had my citrus. I've been playing around with different organic soil mixes, live living soil mixes with my citrus, and my citrus is shining. I got fruit in the planters that I have. I water them every other day. I don't have to worry about root rot, uh, leaf spot, none of the citrus virus disease. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. And I'm going to be sharing with you guys the formula that I've used for that. And I wanted to make sure that this worked before I shared it. But all of my citrus is doing extremely well. And I have a living soil mix that I'm using with my citrus. So if you see a lot of these guys around here with the citrus in their pots, and they're telling you that they have the soilless mix in there, they're using synthetics. Not that I'm against synthetics. If that's what you do, that's what you do. But organic fertilizers will not work in a soilless mix. They just don't go together. And that's what I've come up with, my own formula for making a soil that you can actually grow citrus in it. And you don't have to worry about the root rot. You don't have to worry about the citrus disease, all of these things. You can water your plant just as you do regular plants, and they fruit in that pot as well as in the ground. I got citrus in the ground as well as citrus in pots, and all of them are doing well. And I'm going to share that as soon as I can get me a camera person. So I may have to get somebody off of YouTube or Instagram or someone that's in my area to come over and start helping me out with the videos, because I am not being as consistent as I really want to be with the videos. But we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out. So I'm going to say thank y'all for hanging out with me. Listen at me jaw jabber about the garden. I could do that all day long. And peace. Growing out the box.